The Iron Giant. This is a very rare case as an animated feature that ended up as a late bloomer into pop culture. When the film was released back in 1999, it ended up as a box office bomb, not even making half its budget. However, as time would move on, the reputation of the film would change drastically. As the popularity of Brad Bird would skyrocket, thanks to his works with Pixar like The Incredibles and Ratatouille, the Iron Giant would also be getting more attention and have an ever-growing fan base. In a matter of more than a decade, the movie went from a flop to an underrated gem to a great example of Brad Bird's filmmaking to what is now considered one of the greatest animated features ever made. But did it manage to get up there by standing as tall as the giant himself? Or should we really trust the guy that looks like one of his villains? Let's find out. The story. This is a combination of two different elements in order to make one big story. The first is the plot of the relationship of a kid and the supernatural being. The second is the style of 1950s sci-fi, a throwback to the days when people are in fear of what's outside of our planet. When putting the two together, the result is something that is incredible, really clever, and even heartwarming. I know that we've heard of that old plot plenty of times, like in E.T., How to Train Your Dragon, Ratatouille, and many more. It's been done before and after, and even this movie does follow a bit of some of the tropes. But what really makes it work here is all the different creative ways it does with the giant. It takes all the different concepts of the giant, including his major size, and uses it to its advantage, not only to progress the plot, but to also learn more about who the giant is and his capabilities. Plus the fact that the relationship between the giant and Hogarth is one of the strongest aspects of the film. You can feel that their connection is getting stronger as the giant is learning more about how to be a good guy.
Now, Atama.
But that's only a fraction of what makes the story so engaging. There's also the theme of the 50s sci-fi, adding the element of suspense, supernatural, and the feeling of the time period, where everyone is controlled by fear of atom bombs and what they don't know that's made outside of their world, or even outside of the US. It's what also brings us the action scenes, where it even manages to have it feel that the stakes can get really high. It's not every day that you come across a story that would hold this much cleverness and heart put into one movie. The animation. Now, in terms of his style, we've seen what Brad Bird can do with Pixar's computer animation, and it's awesome. Take that style and incorporate it to hand-drawn, you get something that's on par with Disney and Don Bluth. The characters are stylized with a bit of exaggerated features, but they look professionally done. Like, you can tell it's by artists who are doing their best to give out top quality. Even in the character animation, their movements are very smooth and subtle to give out a bit of a realistic touch. But the true highlight in the animation is the giant himself. Unlike everyone else in the film, he's entirely done in computer animation, and the result of this leads to possibly the greatest example of blending hand-drawn with computer. He doesn't feel out of place at all, and seems to fit very well with his surroundings. There's nothing too complex done to him, no major lighting, no little details all around him, just something that looks simple enough to be with its 2D counterparts, yet it still looks unique and very recognizable. Funny enough, the computer aspect actually helps him to look more robotic. But that's just on how he looks alone. As the movie would progress, the giant would bring out a lot of surprises, learning more about his capabilities, and as it is revealed, that's when the action scenes would also come in, and they can get really intense as well as creative from the Giant's part. The technical achievements made in the animation are as astounding as the quality itself. The characters. This is the kind of film that does rely to be character-driven, and these characters manage very well to carry the movie. Starting with Hogarth, he's more of a rebellious and smart kid that doesn't want to be alone, which is unfortunate with the fact that his mom would often work overtime. By the time he finds the Giant, he tries his best to make him more peaceful and keep him a secret from everyone else. As for the Giant himself,
he's like a little kid.
Little, yeah.
Interestingly enough, the character himself is as fascinating as his design and capabilities. He's more curious about this new world as he learns about friendship and life, which can also lead to some of the movie's humor as he discovers new things on Earth. As the bond between Hogarth and the Giant grows, the more the characters become sincere and lovable, and that's where the true heart of this movie comes in. But it's not just them that really make the film. There are a few other characters that are very well developed and likable. There's Hogarth's mom, Annie, who is hard-working and tries her best to both deal and bring love to Hogarth. There's Dean, who is the artistic junkyard owner that's like the hip outcast of the town and is suddenly brought in to help hide the Giant. And then there's Kent, the villain of the film who's in charge of trying to investigate and get rid of the Giant. In a way, he's represented as how the government wanted Americans to think in the 50s. Whatever doesn't come from the US is an enemy, and must do anything to destroy it before any other Americans might get hurt. Not only do the characters feel very human and complex, but you can also feel like they have a heart and soul. Even the Giant himself.
Souls gonna die.
The only way you could understand how this movie went from a flop to a beloved classic is just to see it for yourself. The Iron Giant is built to be a masterpiece, made only with the highest quality of writing and technically innovative animation that would result in something that's extremely clever, heartwarming, and action-packed. If you're a fan of animation, if you love movies, or if you're just curious of what this is all about, then please go watch this film. I cannot recommend this enough. It is one of the greatest examples of a film that stood the test of time, and it's why I couldn't be happier to give this the AniMat's seal of approval. Hey guys, this is AniMat, and if I may quote from another Brad Bird movie, that was totally wicked! I mean, seriously, wow! I mean, I guess I said everything that I needed to say in the review, but the one thing that, after watching it, I was truly happy about is the fact that I no longer have to consider this underrated. Like, even people nowadays would go out and say, like, oh, this movie is so underrated, but the fact is that everybody says that. Like, literally, everybody says that this movie is amazing and underrated, but they don't realize that everyone says it, so technically, it shouldn't be underrated. And plus the fact that we got the signature edition, and that it got re-released in theaters. Do you have any idea how rare it is for an animated feature to be re-released in theaters nowadays? And like, not even for like to be re-released like in digital 3D or something. Just re-released. That is just, that's almost mythical. That is, like, wow. Like, I'm really happy that the Iron Giant is now, is now considered, like, a total masterpiece. And, like, even a popular masterpiece at that. But anyways, now that the Iron Giant is over, it's time that we go and move on to a Patreon request. Hey, yeah, it's been a while since I've had one of those. Especially after that long train of Patreon requests. But anyways, this time is going to be coming from Tyler Rodriguez. So, if you guys would like to be like Tyler, and you guys want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. Also, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put in the animation hat, then write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. So, with that said and done, what did Tyler suggest to me? Well, apparently, he wanted me to be like a hitman, to get revenge on a certain animated feature, in which that he titles it as the worst Disney animated sequel ever made.
Times I think they hear, but something's missing. The thoughts behind the words aren't clear. So I think they're saying something they're not saying. They think I mean something I don't mean at all. Do we raise our voice miscommunicating, or simply say nothing?